Hi there, this is Dawn. Welcome to my art room and welcome, while I move you, to my YouTube channel. I'm working tonight on the prompt 9, which is gifted or inherited. And I couldn't find anything that I really remember that I inherited. I probably inherited some of these doilies, but I've had them for too long and I can't remember where they came from, so I can't lay claim to those. But this was a gift. This was a gift from a lovely lady called Helly. Hello, Helly, who follows me, and I met in New South Wales when I went to do a course with Rachel and Sarah. And she gifted me this piece of fabric that I've just loved. And I suppose if you've been following me along, you've been wondering when I was going to introduce some fluoro. Well, here it is. It's coming. It's going to happen in this one. This fabric is by a designer called Tula Pink. And I've been able to find a couple of other, well, one other piece of hers. But this one that Helly gave me is the right colourway. So I thought what I would do is I would cut a piece out and add it, and then add some additional stitching. I've been working solidly on this, trying to get it quilted down. I need to, this one did my head in. I needed to draw some straight lines. Couldn't get the straight lines going at all. I've added some trims, but I thought this piece here might be happy enough there. And what I thought I would use was some wools. So I tried using these on something else that didn't work, and I've got them out, and I think that will work in the flower part. This minty green I was excited about because you know how good a match is it for that, and I think this will kind of work. Not gonna do a huge amount, and then I've got my fluoro and perfect orange. I've got orange going on in other places. I'm happy to use orange fluoro. So I thought I would come and do this little bit with you. Before I get onto it though, I'll show you what I have been doing this week. Been making hearts. These are for a gift. These are for gifts. And what I decided to do was challenge myself to work with a really restricted colour palette. So I found the colourways, found them on Pinterest actually. I've made a little pocket at the back so I can put a note in there. I've used the fabrics that I had in my fabric drawers, a little bit of lace that I've dyed, a little bit of embroidery, some beads and buttons, and yeah, made myself some hearts. So I just wanted to show you, if you saw, it was the video that I made prior to this. Made a couple of Suffolk puffs. Each one I tried to do a little bit differently. Lots of French knots. Yeah, this one more traditionally in the patchwork style of, you know, doing it. Brain left. You'll know what I'm talking about. This one I quite liked, very different, because I wanted the borders, so I wanted the dark, the pale, and then I kept the embroidery fairly simple. Again, pocket. And this one is for a friend of mine whose daughter is getting, well, it's for her daughter, not for my friend, who's getting married in the next couple of weeks, and I thought I would make her a little wedding favour, and I'll put a little note in here. the blue lace. The blue trim's very old, but just scattered some teeny tiny sequins. Oh, crazy patchwork. Oh, just like that's what I'm going to talk about with that one, crazy patchwork. You know, while you think about it, as soon as you stop thinking about it, you remember what it is. Anyway, so yeah, so this was a nice bit of trim that I had added on. Yeah, anyway, just thought I'd show you those finished. But I've been just doing lots and lots of hand stitching this week, trying to get myself a little bit organised. So the way that I thought I would go about it, I've left a little bit of the fabric outline so that I've got something to stitch down. I actually didn't leave myself, you know, I'd stitched these bits down. I've I've stopped, you know, I don't stitch everything down anymore all the way to the edge, because this is what happens. The next prompt might require me to do something a little different. And so, yeah, I'm going to add these. I've got a couple of different ones that I can cut out on this piece of fabric here. I've got another one that's got some of the leaf, and even though it's got a little bit missing there, I'm going to go with this one because it's got the two flowers, and I'm hoping that I can disguise where to put that one. But for now, I'm, you know, because I've got this, it's hard, it's getting harder to harder. It's getting harder and harder to work out where to position it that's best for you guys to have a look at. But like I said, I've been doing lots of canter stitching throughout the whole quilt, just so that I can keep it embedded in the got this little basket of stuff that I take with me to the couch. So I'm just going to get it all out now. There needs to be no way. Oh goodness, I thought I lost my thimble. It's right here, don't panic. Okay, so I'm going to use just a normal sewing thread to stitch down the outside edge, and then I will use the wool to do some embroidery. I'm just swapping glasses, sorry, because I've got a better view with ones that are slightly more magnified. Cool. So that's where I'm up to. I'm glad I've started on all of the quilting, which you know, I would just call like canter stitching. I've started from the middle and I'm working my way out across the doilies and things. I'm not on every I'm not finalizing every piece, because it might be that I need to tuck something in. Yeah, but on the whole, I'm stitching down and I'm stitching in between. So what I'm doing here is I'm just using an overcast stitch. I haven't backed this fabric in anything, and so I'm hoping it will be okay, but there's going to be a fair bit of stitching over it, so it should be good. It should be fine to go. So yeah, just thought I'd come on and share this with you. We've just, school holidays have just begun here, and my grandchildren have indicated that they would like to come and have a couple of sleepovers, so that's nice. We're yet to finalise all of those plans. It's always nice that they, well, 3 out of 4. The eldest is kind of like doing his own thing these days, but that's all right. That's what happens. I had him on his own for a long time before there was anybody else, so he and I have spent lots of time together. Gosh, I'm going to keep losing this thread. So yeah, the other 3 are still happy to come and do some stuff with me and Pa. I don't know, we'll plan a couple of things, but I thought before that happens, I better catch up on a little bit of stitching. I've had sort of some nice days, some cold days. It's cold tonight, cooler tonight, cooler day all around today, really. I keep losing this thread. Goodness. Sorry. It's a bit annoying, isn't it? I'm not going all the way through to the back. I'm only burying this thread into sort of top layer and the wadding. Might as well catch a bit of crochet edging when I can, which will come in over it. Might be a big stitch, that one. I think it's going to be all right. Did you find anything gifted and thrifted? No, not thrifted, gifted or inherited. We've done thrifted, it's gifted or inherited, I think. It was a lovely gift to receive from Hallie, with lots of other bits and pieces, but I certainly fell in love with this fabric, and I hadn't known about this designer prior, so it was nice to learn about her as well. Or whoever, I'm not sure if Tula Pink is a he or a she. Oh, sorry. Oh, just moving some things so that I can jiggle this around. Goodness. Do a double check that you can still see me. Some of the stitches that I've put on here are probably a little bit big, but I want to make sure that I don't lose any of the fabric. It's not compromised by stitching, because sometimes if you stitch too close to the edges, it just frays away, and I don't want that to happen, but I do want to hold it down. So some of the stitches are a bit big, but I think by the time I get the embroidery on, it won't be quite so obvious. It's the heater that you can hear in the background. I can hear it. Once I've finished doing all of the quilting, I'll take the pink thread out that I used as a basting thread. Get rid of that. Yeah, so these overcast stitches, some of them are I'm going into the design, but I'm going to be covering it up with the embroidery. What I was doing so good then. It's not a hard needle to thread, but it just keeps coming out for some funny reason. It's just more annoying than it is anything else. I might get rid of that pin. If I knew how to attach some lovely music, I would, but I don't know how to do that, so a little bit of silence, sorry, without me chattering along like a little wind-up toy. Yep, I can get rid of that one. And so each of the ones that I'm going to use, I'm going to do the same thing with. So while I show you one, I intend to do the same with maybe 2 or 3 of the others, 3 other of the print, just depend what I can find and where I can fit it in. But I'll attach it exactly the same way. Do this overcast stitch first, and with a fairly generous stitch, because as I said, because it's going up against the edge, it'll disappear in the embroidery, and then I'm just going backwards and forwards with the needle till I can bury the thread, using just a simple basting, just a simple sewing machine thread, a white one. Cool. Okay. I'm going to use this needle here. It's got a fairly decent hole in it. I don't know how I can show you. Maybe you can see it there. I have no idea what the size is. Absolutely no idea whatsoever. But I'm going to use this variegated thread, and I'm just going to keep the stitching fairly simple. I'm not trying to recreate the flower, just add some texture to it. So I'm going to try and keep it simple with this variegated thread. So I'm going to start, here, but what I'm going to do is come in from under there to bury the knot. Yep. And I don't know if you can see these lines here. I'm just going to follow those around to just add some straight stitches in a kind of satin stitch way about it. I'm not going to go over that dark thing, so that will help the dark pattern, part of the pattern. That will help to give me some petal, you know, definition, so that I'm not having to reproduce that. All I'm doing is adding won't be quite as vibrantly orange, but I am going to add the fluoro. I think this wool works in with the rest of the quilt. But I quite like the way that it variegates, so it takes the hard work out of it. I don't have to try and continually change threads, or I'm just going to let it have its way. It can just do what it wants to do. Try and follow the direction of the colour of the print. I just haven't got too much of this sort of brighter pinks anywhere, and by using this I'm changing the colour slightly but helping it to sit in cohesively with the rest of the quilt. The fluoro will just be an unexpected surprise. And it won't be everywhere. Cool. Okay, it's quite textural, but I really like it. I'm going to come back down and do the same thing over here. Cool. Alrighty. I'm just thinking, will I stop here and add some of the green? I might do that. This can be slightly smaller video. Well, shorter, not smaller, shorter video. We don't need an hour-long video, I don't think, for this. This is going to not necessarily... there'll be bits of it that it'll come and go, I think. Let's just see. I may or may not continue to use it, and sometimes it's about giving something a try and then making a final decision after you see it, see what it's doing. I'll just leave that over there for a minute. See what this looks like, and then we can add some fluoro. And I'll do the same thing with each one. I'm not going to reinvent every wheel. I just think that if this works, that's what I'll do. I did the same thing with the embroidery pieces. I just used the similar colours and idea, so that I'm not having to try and do something completely different for each one. The only thing I haven't made a decision on is the stems. All right, I'm going to chuck this notch in here. If I can. Just getting caught up on the fabric, that's all. Come on, get in. Because I went through the tablecloth and I didn't mean to. I just want to go under the picture. Because I don't want any of this to go onto the wrong side. Now, on the back. Now, you know, I have had the odd stitch when I was doing the embroidery. Right, so what I'm doing is just swizzing my needle under here. But before I went through the tablecloth as well, so yeah, that's why it didn't bury itself. Okay. What I was saying before is I don't know if I'm going to, what I'm going to do for the stem. I need to think about that one. You know, this bright pink stem here. I don't know. I'm not going to be able to keep all of the definition. There is some of that minty colour on this wool, but I just haven't got to it yet. Alright, I'm going to stop and let that bit of the petal be there. So it'll be coming back and adding a bit of the other colour. Oh, a little bit. It's a bit firm. Alright. Add a bit on this side. And so having the variation in the wool, I'm just letting it do whatever it wants to, you know, the colour appear whenever it wants to, as it does. Just takes a bit of the hard work out of it. I don't have to think about it. Using variegated wools or threads just gives you something that just kind of happens. Nice happy surprise. I mean, if you really want it to be quite specific, then you're going to need to use threads that match, and I just didn't want to do that. Alright, so that's how I'm going to do the leaves. And I'll just come down the other side, sort of to the middle. Goodness, could you not see? Sorry. Or whether I went off screen then. all I'm doing is making it come back and meet the other side. So there, that's how it's going to work. Just sometimes need to just give it a bit of a try to see where it needs to come down to, because it doesn't necessarily mean that you do it sort of like halfway or whatever. But I'm just going to the, to the stem. So I'm leaving this pink stem in here. Just got to work out what I want to do with that. I haven't yet. Haven't worked out what. So I use a bit of the thread that I'm using for the flower, maybe. Sorry, I'm just trying to move things around so you can see. What I've done is just, put my hand underneath here so that I can feel and make sure that I don't go through. Nearly there. Might as well do this last little bit. But I've certainly, some of that minty colour that matches in here has certainly made an appearance, which is good. We're going back into a bit more green again now. But I think it's quite nicely spaced, the colourway. Some of them are like they're either really long or really short. The colour changes too quickly or not fast enough. All right, we're done with that. I'm going to come up in here somewhere in the middle of the leaf. Going to pull the thread through. This 4-ply wool is really easy to stitch with. It's not hard at all. It's not hard on your hands. And then I'm going to go back again. So I've kind of buried, come back somewhere in there. And then I'm going to come back again in the middle of there somewhere. So what I've done is gone forward and then back. And so I don't have to make another knot. That should hold it. It shouldn't come undone. It'll disappear in there. Done. Cool. All right. Maybe this is okay. What I might do is do some of that, but let's put a bit of fluoro in. Let's find the fun in that. If I could find the fluoro to be even better. No, doesn't want to be added because it's gone. Oh, it like totally has. Can you see it? Ah, here it is. It wasn't gone, it was just hiding. All right, now let me see. I'm going to, this bit of, all these bits of wool I just hang on to and use at some other point. I'm going to use all 6 threads because what I'm going to do is do the dots, because I think all 6 is whatever it is. I think it's all 6. probably quite a good spot to start because I can bury my knot in there. Yeah. Okay. I've done 5 wraps. And sometimes you can't bring your needle back in close enough, so you've got to like miss this little one and go to the next one. So the 5 wraps there was just because it was a big dot. So wherever that fabric is close to the edge, it's going to help disguise some of those, you know, overcast stitches. Let's just do colonial knot here and come back in there. So that one. All right. Scoop the needle in underneath till I get to the next one, holding this one in place. Oh yeah, I'm liking this fluoro thread. It's gonna give me the texture and I'm still gonna get that nice fluoro pop. Cool. All right. Well, I think you can see where I'm going. I might have to come in and put an extra stitch around there. It just pulled the edge of the fabric up a bit, but that's okay. I can just go in and give it a little bit of a helping hand. That's what will happen. But the more we add, the embroidery will help to secure it down without having to you know, worry too much about it. If I wasn't doing all of this, I might have to think about how to protect it, but yeah, it doesn't really need that. It's only when you get to the ones that are right beside it. Right beside the edge is what I'm trying to say. All right. Cool. All right, so then when I've done a few single knots there, a few single French knots, I'm gonna do maybe another 5 on this one. I have used the same needle as what I was using for the wool, and while it's a bit tricky to put through a 5 wrap, I can still get it in there quite easily. And I'm just adjusting how many I think, oh, you know, do 3 on this one. And that will probably make it work. Do 1 on these tiny little ones. Cool. All right, well, this is my gifted. Thank you. I mean, there's so many other gifts on this quilt. There's the gift of the old quilt from my friend Willie. This one here, braids from another friend, from her auntie, doilies from another friend, lots of gifts on this quilt, but for now I'm just going to keep on adding this flower idea with wool and fluoro, adding my little bits of fluoro that I just happen to like. And I think the orange is going to work with all the rest of the orange. Cool. All right. I hope you're doing really well, doing what you love, and I'll talk to you again very soon. Okay, bye for now.